July 2, 2026, a federal grand jury in Washington, D.C. returns a sealed indictment. Two names: Juan Jose Farias Mendoza, 31, known as Juanjo, and Israel Vega Farias, 37, known as Papo, both from a small town called Tepalcatepec in Michoacan, Mexico. Both high-ranking members of one of the most dangerous criminal organizations on earth, and both blood relatives of the man the United States government has already put a $10 million bounty on. This is not a random cartel bust. This is the Justice Department reaching directly into the family of a designated foreign terrorist organization's supreme leader and pulling out his own son and his own nephew. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly how deep the United Cartels have embedded themselves inside American cities and why federal prosecutors just decided that arresting the boss was not enough. They are now coming for his bloodline. Subscribe right now, because what this indictment reveals about a methamphetamine empire spanning 8 American cities and 3 continents is going to change how you look at your own neighborhood. Let us start with the empire itself, the United Cartels, also known as Carteles Unidos, based in the Mexican state of Michoacan. Federal investigators call it one of the most significant methamphetamine-producing organizations on the planet, capable of manufacturing multiple tons of meth every single month, not kilograms, tons. And this is not a small regional operation hiding in the mountains of Mexico. Court documents lay out a distribution network with hubs inside Dallas, Houston, Atlanta, Kansas City, Sacramento, Los Angeles, Denver, and Chicago. 8 major American cities functioning as receiving points for a supply chain that stretches all the way to Europe and Australia. On February 20th, 2025, the United States Department of State designated the United Cartels as a foreign terrorist organization and a specially designated global terrorist entity. That designation means every dollar, every gram, every transaction connected to this organization is treated under federal law as material support for terrorism. And sitting at the top of that terrorist organization is one man, Juan Jose Farias Alvarez, street name El Abuelo, the grandfather. Court filings allege he personally directs the importation of cocaine from Colombia by air and by sea, oversees massive shipments into the United States, and imposes a tax on every methamphetamine and fentanyl producer operating inside his territory. In August of 2025, the Justice Department charged Abuelo alongside 4 other senior commanders: Alfonso Fernandez Magallon, alias Poncho, leader of Los Reyes Cartel; Nicolas Sierra Santana, alias El Gordo, former leader of Los Viagras; Edgar Orozco Cabadas, alias El Camoni, commander of an armed enforcement faction; and Luis Enrique Barragan Chavez, alias Huicho, second in command of Los Reyes. Prosecutors say these men do not run a drug operation the way most people imagine one. They run a militarized narco state, semi-automatic weapons, machine guns, improvised explosive devices, armed drones, armored vehicles, foreign mercenaries hired to protect drug labs and enforce territorial control through fear. The State Department put a combined $26 million on the heads of those 5 men, $10 million for Abuelo alone. All 5 remain fugitives to this day. Drop a comment below if you had any idea a single cartel had a distribution hub in 8 major American cities right now. Let me know. And here is where the story turns personal, because when federal agents could not physically reach Abuelo inside Mexico, prosecutors went after the next best thing: his own family. Juan Jose Farias Mendoza is Abuelo's son. Israel Vega Farias is Abuelo's nephew. Both are now charged with conspiracy to manufacture and distribute methamphetamine for importation into the United States. Both are charged with providing material support to a foreign terrorist organization, and both are charged with using, carrying, and possessing firearms, including machine guns and destructive devices, during and in relation to that drug trafficking conspiracy. If convicted on all counts, each of these men faces a maximum penalty of life in federal prison. Assistant Attorney General A. Tyson Duva said it plainly. These 2 defendants are close relatives of the United Cartel's top leader, and this indictment demonstrates a systematic and focused effort to target command and control elements, including those inside the cartel leader's own inner circle. This is not a symbolic gesture. Prosecutors are telling every cartel boss in Mexico that their children and their nephews are not safe from American federal courts either. Here is how a meth seizure outside Knoxville, Tennessee turned into an international manhunt targeting an entire crime family. This investigation did not begin with a raid on a cartel compound in Michoacan. It began years ago with a methamphetamine seizure in a small town outside Knoxville, Tennessee. U.S. Attorney Francis Hamilton for the Eastern District of Tennessee says investigators then intercepted a much larger shipment, over 950 kilograms of methamphetamine and fentanyl outside Atlanta. From that single interdiction, a whole of government investigation followed the supply chain backward through American distribution hubs across the southern border into the heart of Michoacan. Partnering the Eastern District of Tennessee with Homeland Security investigations, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, the Tennessee Highway Patrol, and international law enforcement. Years of work that led first to the August 2025 indictment of Abuelo and his top commanders, and now to the indictment of his own son and nephew. If you think federal prosecutors stopping at the cartel leadership is where this ends, you are wrong. Type yes in the comments if you want to see how far this goes, because the armed factions protecting this family empire are not improvised street gangs. Federal investigators say Orozco Cabadas leads a faction known as the Kimonas, fighters equipped and trained to enforce cartel control through direct violence. Barragan Chavez commands a second armed wing operating under Los Reyes Cartel. Between them, prosecutors allege a combined arsenal of assault rifles, machine guns, improvised explosive devices, and drones modified to carry and drop munitions onto rival territory. This is not a drug trafficking case in the traditional sense. It is a case against a paramilitary organization that happens to fund itself through methamphetamine, fentanyl, and cocaine. And now 2 more members of that organization's inner family circle are sitting inside the federal system, facing the same machine gun and destructive device charges that could keep them locked away for life. 3 things happen from here. Either Farias Mendoza and Vega Farias fight the charges and force prosecutors to prove the family connection to Abuelo's operation in open court, or one of them cooperates, handing investigators a direct line into the cartel's command structure from the inside. Or Abuelo himself makes a move, either to protect his son and his nephew, or to cut them loose entirely to protect what remains of his own operation. Whichever path plays out, Homeland Security investigation says the pressure on the United Cartels leadership has never been higher, and every indictment is designed to squeeze the next name out of the organization. This case falls under the Homeland Security Task Force Initiative, a whole-of-government partnership established to eliminate cartels, foreign gangs, and transnational criminal organizations operating inside the United States. Acting Executive Associate Director John Condon of Homeland Security Investigations called the United Cartels an organization that has fueled violence, addiction, and instability both in the United States and abroad. And that instability is not theoretical. The DEA estimates that a single kilogram of fentanyl contains roughly 500,000 potentially lethal doses. The United Cartels are manufacturing methamphetamine by the ton every single month, funneling it through 8 American cities and using the profits to fund armed factions equipped with machine guns and explosive devices back in Mexico. Every arrest connected to this network, every seizure, every dollar traced. It all leads back to one family structure, a grandfather at the top, his son and his nephew running operations underneath him, and an organization that the United States government has formally classified as an act of terrorism against its own citizens. Here is exactly where things stand right now. Juan Jose Farias Alvarez, El Abuelo, remains a fugitive with a $10 million bounty on his head, believed to be hiding somewhere inside Michoacan. His 4 co-defendants from the August 2025 indictment, Poncho, El Gordo, El Camoni, and Huicho, also remain fugitives, with a combined $16 million in additional rewards still on the table. And now his son, Juanjo Farias Mendoza, and his nephew, Papo Vega Farias, are in the federal system, indicted in Washington, D.C., prosecuted by trial attorneys from the Justice Department's Money Laundering, Narcotics, and Forfeiture section, alongside the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of Tennessee. If convicted, both face the possibility of spending the rest of their lives in an American federal prison. Homeland Security investigation says the case remains active, and officials have made clear this indictment will not be the last one connected to the United Cartels command structure. Share this video. Most Americans have no idea that a methamphetamine empire capable of producing multiple tons a month has active distribution hubs running through Dallas, Houston, Atlanta, Kansas City, Sacramento, Los Angeles, Denver, and Chicago right now, controlled by a family the U.S. government has designated as terrorists. The Justice Department did not just charge 2 more cartel members, it charged the son and the nephew of a man with a $10 million bounty on his head, sending a direct message to every cartel leader hiding across the border. Your family is not protected. Your bloodline is not a safe haven. Abuelo built an empire on tonnage quantities of meth, fentanyl, and cocaine, and machine guns and armed drones and foreign mercenaries. And piece by piece, indictment by indictment, the United States government is dismantling it from the inside out, starting with the people closest to him. If you want to know the moment Homeland Security investigations closes in on El Abuelo himself, and whether his own son's arrest is what finally leads federal agents to his door, subscribe. We are tracking every development. If this gave you the full picture, you know what to do.